One of the biggest obstacles to sharing our faith with others today is a widespread belief that science and religion conflict, that science contradicts the Bible, and therefore Christianity and the story of Jesus cannot be true. Christianity and the Bible are not worth checking out despite the abundance of evidence to the contrary. In response, you can point to information contained in the DNA of every cell, to the design in the universe. This video is about one more way that you can quickly and easily respond to their objection and demonstrate God's incredible design in the process, all in 2 minutes or 5 minutes, in whatever time you have available. Let's do it. If you haven't run across this idea before, I'd like to introduce you to the idea of bilateral symmetry. It's easy to understand and it's right in front of us. Let me demonstrate. Hold out your hands in front of you. You notice anything? Yes, your right hand is a perfect mirror image of your left. And it's not just your hands, but our eyes and ears, legs. Almost our entire body has bilateral symmetry. It's as if someone copied and pasted what was on the right side of us onto the left side of us. And think about it. This bilateral symmetry or bilaterality is a design feature, a body plan that is literally everywhere, built into every part of us. We don't just have one arm or one leg, one eye, or one ear. We have two. And bilateral symmetry gives us one more easy way to show others, non-believers, that there must be a designer, that we are not here by accident or random acts of nature over billions of years. Bilateral symmetry gives us incredible abilities to move, to hold large objects, to see depth and distances, to hear the direction of sound coming to us. Almost everything we do requires bilateral symmetry to thrive in our world. What does bilateral symmetry have to do with evangelism? Well, stay tuned. First, Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians that as evangelists, part of our job is to destroy strongholds of the enemy, to demolish false arguments, and to undermine the lies and falsehoods that are accepted and taught in this world. Because belief in science and naturalism has become a religion to many in our society and a real obstacle to accepting the truths of Christianity, we need to be able to challenge, to undermine their faith in an undirected, totally natural process. You can use your parallel hands, your eyes and ears to easily demonstrate the concept of bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry simply defies any rational explanation by natural evolution. The idea of bilateral symmetry is just one more easy way that's literally right in front of us to point an observer to an intelligent, all-knowing, all-powerful creator designer, just as Romans 1 says. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power, divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. Evolution and Darwinism cannot reasonably explain how random mutations occurring naturally, even over millions and millions of years, would result in something as simple and yet powerful as bilateral symmetry that results in a parallel set of hands and arms and legs, eyes and ears. We can help others understand that it takes a huge amount of faith, blind faith on their part, to believe in evolution, that we are here by accident, the result of random mutations in billions of years. Rather, it's much more reasonable to believe in an intelligent designer, a God who created all things out of nothing, created time, space, and matter, the stars, the planets, and gave us life, from the single-cell protozoa to the incredible design complexity of a human with trillions of cells. Let's look a little bit more at bilateral symmetry, what it means, and how you might use it in a conversation. You can state the obvious. Bilateral symmetry is really a huge part of the human body plan. Consider the human arm. Most people have two. Consider the human eye. Most people have two of those too. Consider the human foot or leg. Again, most people have two of each of these. Think about it. Humans are almost entirely bilateral. This simple design feature is actually quite remarkable. It gives us all the incredible abilities we have to move and see depth and distances, to hear directions, to thrive in our world. That's the skeptic. If Stephen Hawking is correct that there is no God and no one directs the universe, how and why could bilateral symmetry have possibly occurred naturally, even over millions of years, through small incremental mutations? Bilateral symmetry in nature simply defies that logic. Rather, you have to have a lot of blind faith in evolution to believe that a mindless, random mutations and natural selection could somehow, miraculously, generate the very first bilateral animal, being a mirror image of itself, left and right, having left and right sides. Darwinism says that organisms evolve naturally with lots of tiny incremental steps from the simple to the complex and over millions and billions of years without purpose or plan. Why would these mutations, specifically a second arm or second eye, ear, or foot, occur on their own if there was no designer, no plan, or no purpose? Even if a fully functional arm, for example, with elbow, wrist, and hand somehow did evolve, it would have to pop out at just the right location on the right side of the body. Ouch! And then, almost miraculously, a second mirror image of the first arm would pop out or evolve at just the right matching location on the left side. Again, defies logic, defies reason. Here's a thought. Maybe, just maybe, for millions and millions of years, our human ancestors might have had just a single arm, or using the same logic, a single eye, or a single ear, or single foot. Seems hard to imagine. It would be pretty hopeless, after all, and helpless, until evolution came along maybe a million years later and provided a second arm, or eye, or ear, or foot. In the meantime, there must have been millions of these one-armed, one-eyed, one-legged critters in the human branch of the evolutionary tree. They'd have to show up in the fossil record too, except they don't. Every single advancement to this new body plan, this bilateral plan, where every new organ, every new part would have to occur naturally if evolution were true, and they would become the base design from which all later descendants would have to be replicated. Unless, of course, they were killed by a two-legged tiger or alligator or struck down by lightning. I guess you have to wait another million years or so for all of that to happen again naturally. I mention this so that you can see that just a simple idea like bilateral symmetry allows you, the evangelist, to easily challenge the underlying problems in evolutionary thought, and maybe to deconstruct the worldview, and thereby perhaps to be able to point that person towards a divine designer. And not to belabor the point, but there are lots of other related questions or arguments you could use related to the same subject. For example, the problem with animals. Most animals are born with a symmetry along their axis too. An alligator, I mentioned, for example, doesn't just have two left feet and nothing on the right side. Same with cats and dogs, horses and hippos. The idea of universal body plan, of bilateral symmetry, is evident everywhere. This almost universal body plan would cause another problem in evolutionary thought too, and that's where on the supposed tree of life would this special design feature arise. Most animal species would have to have developed this symmetry early in Earth history, early on the evolutionary tree, and then somehow be passed on to every descendant on every branch of the tree. Even those who with rapidly different evolving body plans, like horseflies and hippos in the human branch, for example. Rather than explaining nature and evolution, the evolutionary tree really complicates possible development of a wide variety of animals that we see in nature. Coordination has to occur between the two mirror parts of our body. It's not just that we have two eyes, two ears, hands, and legs, but they operate in a coordinated fashion, guided by a brain. That's how we walk or run, how we focus our eyes, how we tell distances visually, how we determine the direction of a sound. And without that coordination, these features are useless. And again, does it make sense to believe that this coordination between our bilateral parts is a result of a naturalistic evolution? There's a lot more that can be said about the challenges of bilateral symmetry and what it causes to the theory of evolution, but here's the conclusion. I am suggesting that bilateral symmetry is a simple yet effective and powerful idea that we can use to help convey the incredible complexity of design in nature, and that it can be used to help point people to an all-knowing, all-powerful God who spoke all of creation into existence. I have a confession to make. I love talking to college students about their belief in science and logic, about the origin of life, the theory of evolution, the Big Bang, and what the Bible would say about these things. Why? Because it's easy to present logic and scientific facts that will challenge their beliefs in evolution or naturalistic development that might help undermine their worldview and hopefully to consider the truth of the Bible. That's doing what we're called to do as evangelists. And there are literally thousands of questions that defy answering from anyone with a belief in naturalism. What was before the Big Bang, for example? Google it. Before there was time, space, or matter. 2, you could point people to a building and ask if a building needs a builder, or a painting needs a painter, or a car needs a designer or a builder. We can talk more about some of these problems and questions that you can use in another video. So here's a plan of action for now. 1, don't wait until you get your PhD in biochemistry. You don't need a doctorate degree to point people to the truth. God leaves clues to his existence everywhere in nature. Psalm 19 says, the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the works of his hands. Romans 1 says that we are without excuse if we miss his fingerprints in creation. 2, check out Christian materials. There's so much out there to give you evidence that describes God's miraculous creation, evidence that will help you be prepared for the next time someone says, you can't believe the Bible. AIG, Answers in Genesis, Creation, Research Institute, James Tour, Sean McDowell, Answers in Genesis, Cross-Examine. Read, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. Get out there and share. If you've stayed with us this long, you likely have a heart for the lost and a passion for witnessing to others about Jesus. So please consider joining us at Evangelize RVA. We'd love to have you work alongside us for a day or for a season. We're certainly not the only ones doing evangelism in Richmond. We're one group of Christ followers from different churches united in desire to tell others about Jesus. You can connect with this ministry at evangelizerva.org or email us at evangelizerva@gmail.com. And if you've liked this video, hit like and subscribe. It'll help bring others in connection with this ministry. And check out the other videos on this channel, including these. Richmond has so many spiritually lost people. Let's work together to take Jesus to every part of our city. And we'll see you in the next video.